P, you got a haircut. You no longer look like a hobo. What is up, Mr. P? Back with another video. Man, today we are going to be breaking down the cost of battery swap stations versus supercharging stations. We're going to be talking about deployment costs, and I actually know the cost of battery swap stations, and nobody else knows about it, but I'm going to share it with you guys. So a quick rundown of Tesla supercharging stations. It's very well known. Tesla has entire networks set up all around the globe, right? And people think EV charging, they think Tesla superchargers. Now, NIO has also been aggressively expanding their own charging infrastructure across China via NIO branded superchargers, which they call power chargers, and also swap stations. Now, for the purpose of this video, we're just going to be comparing Tesla supercharging stations versus battery swap stations. Now, I'm not gonna say which one is better than which. You guys can let me know in the comments down below which one you think is better, but today I'm just gonna tell you guys the information. Gen 1 battery swap stations have 5 batteries in them, and it is operated manually, so an operator has to drive the car inside the swap station to get it swapped. And then Gen 2 swap station holds 13 batteries, and it is automated, so you don't need an operator to get into your car. You can just press a button and it goes in by itself. Cool. Now let's first talk about speed and time. Now, Ben Sullins from Tesla Economics has done a video a while back about the charging time at a Tesla supercharger, a V3 supercharger.
Alright, so that's it. It took 41 minutes to go from 0 miles of range to 290 miles.
With his 75 kilowatt hour battery, that's how long it took, 41 minutes. And V3 superchargers charge at 250 kilowatt of speed. So that is pretty fast. But, however, there is a caveat that I want you guys to know. And that is there's a charging curve. So that peak charging speed that Tesla markets, that's only for 10 to 20 minutes of the charge. Because of the laws of thermodynamics, it can only maintain that peak charging speed for a period of time. And if you go too much, it's going to overheat the battery and cause it to explode. That's just how batteries work. Now, battery swap stations take about 5 to 7 minutes to swap, regardless of the battery size capacity. Now, some people have said, hey, the 100 kilowatt hour battery pack for NIO is a different size than the 70 kilowatt hour battery pack. They're the same exact dimensions, they're the same exact size, and in the future when the 150 kilowatt hour battery pack comes out, that is also the exact same dimensions. It's just a higher density. Every existing model, NIO model that has whatever batteries they have right now can't swap to the future 150 kilowatt hour battery. Let's talk about cost. Now, according to Inside EVs, a Tesla supercharging station costs a cool $250K US dollars to set up. Now, the reason why it's so expensive is because of all the transformers that you have to set up. And these are called step-up transformers, which cost about 30 to 40K each. It's necessary to get the necessary voltage for these superchargers. Now, that's just the transformers, and each transformer can only service maybe about 2 superchargers. So if you have like maybe 10 or 20 superchargers, you're gonna need like 5 to 10 of these transformers, which is a lot of money. Just do the math, 5 times 30, that's 150K. So the bulk of the cost comes from that. And then there's also the charger itself. Now, what about battery swap stations? Because, man, nobody else knows about this, man. And I'm sharing with you guys. I'm so happy to share with you guys. So this is gonna blow your mind, all right? So Gen 1 battery swap stations cost 500K for one battery swap station, and it holds 5 batteries. Gen 2 swap station, which holds 13 batteries, only costs 200K. You're thinking, what? How? Mr. P, how? What? That doesn't make sense. Gen 2 swap stations has more battery, right? It's slightly bigger in size. Why is it cheaper than a Gen 1 station? Well, I stumbled across all this information by accident, actually, when I went for a battery swap near the airport, and there was actually a senior technician over there, and I was talking to him about the swap stations, and he revealed the cost. And he told me that Gen 1 swap stations are pretty expensive because of primarily one big reason. Gen 1 swap stations use a lot of patented technology from other companies. So to build a swap station, you have to pay a lot of fees to other companies for using their patents to build that station. But for Gen 2 swap station, right, NIO uses a lot of their own patents and a lot of their own technology, so they don't have to pay those patent fees. So it's actually so much cheaper. And if you think about it, battery swap stations, what's inside a battery swap station, all right? There's maybe like one transformer for charging, and then you got the batteries, and then you have a swapping mechanism, and then a center computer to monitor the entire station and the batteries. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing too complicated about that. So it's pretty insane that a Gen 2 swap station only costs $200K US. So now you know the cost of setting up a swap station, which is actually not that expensive compared to a Tesla supercharging station. You can see why they're building so many of them so fast compared to when it was still at the 1.0 phase. So at the 2.0 phase, because it's so much cheaper, NIO can build so many more battery swap stations out there, and that's why they're expanding so fast. Now, let's talk about land. Another really important part about this whole argument is land. Now, swap stations only take about 4 parking spots, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, but for a supercharger, if you're gonna have 5 to 20 superchargers, you're gonna need 5 to 20 parking spots. So that's a pretty substantial amount of land, which might not be necessarily available, at cities where land is scarce. For example, New York, right? If you're in New York, there's no way that it's going to be economically cheap to rent out 20 parking spots and build superchargers on them. Another thing you have to consider about this whole thing is, in the future, when larger capacity batteries come out, right? NIO already announced the 150 kilowatt hour battery pack. Now, to swap into that, right, that still only takes 5 to 7 minutes. But if you're charging, right, at current V3 speeds for a 75 kilowatt hour battery, it took Tesla 41 minutes. So let's say conservatively we double that, right? Then that would take almost 1.5 hours. It becomes more convenient and makes more sense to swap batteries when you're at a higher capacity battery. Now, undoubtedly, there will also be V4 supercharging stations with even faster speed. That's going to be mind-blowing as well. Of course, it'll be on the newer Tesla models. So existing Teslas can only charge at V3 speeds, whereas V4 will be in future models. And NIO also has plans for their own through generation 3.0 swap station, which probably has more battery, swaps faster. And well, for that, you don't have to upgrade your car. You know, swap stations, they just need to upgrade the swap station and the car just stays the same. So there's no need for me to get a new NIO, to upgrade my NIO to enjoy the benefits of the next generation swap stations. So there's also that to consider. With Tesla superchargers, the other major advantage is you can scatter them out, right? You can have superchargers where there's only like 1 or 2 chargers at one location, and then at another location is 1 or 2 chargers, whereas NIO would actually put one swap station within a certain area, and then a new swap station would be for another area. So there's definitely that advantage of Tesla, you know, having superchargers regularly everywhere you go, whereas for a swap station you would have to drive to the designated swap station, which might not be super close to you, and swap over there. So it might take like 20 minutes to drive to a swap station, or maybe 10 or maybe 5, depending on where you live. Lastly, another thing to consider is the daily operation of a swap station versus a Tesla supercharger. Now, a Tesla supercharger, you don't need anyone there to help you out or anything like that, right? It's basically unmanned. You just go there, plug it in, charge it yourself. But at swap stations, there is always a technician. Now, especially for Gen 1 swap stations, you know, the technician has to drive your car into the swap station. But for Gen 2 swap stations, even though it's automated, there still has to be a technician to make sure that everything is okay. And even though you're swapping the battery yourself, right, you gotta make sure that everything is working properly and make sure everything is good to go, so that even if you swapped into a fully charged battery, there's no problems with the system, everything's working fine. and then you can drive away. So there's always a need for man labor in a swap station, whereas for Tesla Superchargers, there's no need for man labor. Now, a very quick update on the subscriber that's buying a NIO, and I'm helping him buy a NIO, and we're going to be shipping it to Africa. And it is going to be a brand new NIO ESA. It's gonna look absolutely spectacular. We're gonna make it look even better with a lot of extra add-ons. And man, and he's gonna get a DC fast charger as well. So we're gonna ship that to him, and you guys get to witness the whole entire process of loading it on the ship, you know, taking delivery of the car, and me setting up the car, making sure that, you know, it looks the best that it can. So we've actually already pre-ordered the car, and it's currently being produced inside the factory at Hefei. Soon we'll have our vehicle identification number, and very soon we'll be taking delivery of it. I've actually placed it with the manager that I've interviewed a while back, so definitely go check out that video, and if you haven't already done so, go check out that video. By the time it arrives, the subscriber, he's going to provide some video of him driving the car in his country, and that's gonna be really, really awesome. So man, I can't wait to show you guys this. So I hope this information is useful for you guys. Please consider subscribing and hitting the like button and hitting the bell, because that just really helps me out a lot. And man, thank you guys so much for checking out my content, and have a lovely day. Peace out.